Welcome to the deep dive. We take your sources, we dig in, and we pull out the most important nuggets for you.
That's the plan.
And today, we're tackling something I think, well, many of us grapple with, finding your voice in meetings.
Oh, yeah, that feeling.
You know, you've got this brilliant idea, it's right there, but the words just poof, gone. We've all been there. And maybe for you, that moment, that hesitation, it's even bigger because you're searching for just the right English words.
It's absolutely a universal thing. That pressure you mentioned, it doesn't matter if it's a huge team meeting or, just a Zoom call.
Or even one-on-one with your boss.
Exactly. That feeling of maybe not being heard, it can really ramp up.
So our mission, really, for you in this deep dive is simple. Give you practical phrases, some actionable tips, strategies, things designed to help you speak up clearly, confidently.
Yeah, we want to unpack why it feels so hard first.
Yeah.
And then, okay, here are the tools you need. Let's get that voice heard.
And it's interesting, looking at the sources, there was one, I think it was Forbes.
Yeah, the Forbes study, it's pretty striking, actually. It found that 67%, so like 2/3 of professionals, admit they stay quiet.
Wow, 2/3.
And the reason may be fear. Fear of sounding, quote, wrong or not smart enough.
And then you had that extra layer, right? If English isn't your first language, trying to find the perfect words right there on the spot.
Under pressure. Yeah, it's immense.
That whole internal translation thing, the self-doubt, I mean, that's a lot of cognitive load, isn't it? To manage in just a few seconds.
It really is. But here's the thing, and the sources really hammer this home. Your voice matters.
Yeah.
It truly does.
Even simple ideas, if you share them clearly, they can make a huge difference.
Have a profound impact, absolutely.
Okay, so let's dig into that fear then. What's really holding us back? You mentioned the Forbes study, that fear of sounding wrong. Is that the whole story?
Well, it's a huge part of it. That fear is definitely widespread. But especially if you're navigating English as an additional language, there's more going on.
Like what?
It's that cognitive load we touched on. Think about it. You're doing these mental gymnastics, right?
Uh-huh.
You're thinking in your native language, then you're trying to translate that thought into English, and you're simultaneously editing yourself. Is the grammar right?
That's the
best
secret.
word.
Yeah.
Basically triples the mental effort compared to just, thinking in English. And that often leads straight to hesitation, even if you totally know the answer or have a great point.
Okay, that makes so much sense. No wonder we sometimes just, clam up.
Exactly.
But the flip side of that, and this is really important, I think, your perspective is so valuable precisely because it might be different.
Absolutely. Your unique background, the experiences you bring, maybe working across different cultures or languages, that's gold.
Our sources really highlight that. Even simple, clear communication, just saying, I agree, can be really impactful. It gets you in the game.
It sets the stage. It shows you're engaged.
So how do we actually change that impulse, that default to staying quiet? Our sources point to 3 key mindset shifts, things that can genuinely build confidence.
Right. The first one is huge. Embrace imperfection.
Okay. Easier said than done sometimes.
Maybe. But think about it this way. The sources suggest that chasing perfect English often leads to, paralysis. You get so stuck on finding the flawless phrase that the idea itself gets blocked.
Ah, okay. So it's not just don't worry about grammar mistakes.
It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It's understanding that aiming for clear enough is actually more effective than aiming for perfect. Clear enough lets the idea out. Perfect can keep it locked in.
I like that. Clear enough. It lowers the stakes immediately, doesn't it?
Totally. It shifts your focus. Instead of performing, you're just contributing.
Like using those really simple phrases we'll talk about later. I agree with that. Or, can I ask something?
Exactly. They're not fancy,
Yeah.
but they work. They're your entry points. Low stakes. Even if you know all the complex words, but just freeze up.
Okay, so embrace imperfection is number 1. What's shift number 2?
Leverage preparation. It sounds simple, but confidence often just comes from feeling ready.
So doing homework before the meeting?
Sort of.
Yeah.
But not like writing a full speech. More like jotting down just 1 or 2 things you might want to say.
Okay.
Just having a potential contribution ready. It acts like an anchor.
So maybe phrases like, I'd like to add something here, or just a quick suggestion, something you have in your back pocket.
Precisely. You've already done some of that heavy lifting before the pressure's on. It really reduces that on-the-spot anxiety.
Got it. Preparation. Okay, and the third shift.
This one's maybe the most fundamental. Acknowledge your value.
Tell me more.
Just remember, you were invited to that meeting. You're there for a reason, Your perspective is needed.
Even if you feel like you don't know as much as others or your English isn't as fluent.
Especially then, sometimes. Think about it from an organizational psychology perspective, which some of our sources touch on. Diversity of thought is crucial.
Right. Seeing things differently.
Exactly. Your viewpoint, maybe shaped by a different cultural lens or language background, might be the very thing the team needs to see the full picture or find the best solution.
So even if your idea feels kind of small or obvious to you.
It could be the spark.
Yeah.
The thing that gets a really important discussion going. Your contribution is never insignificant. You have to believe that.
That actually reminds me, my very first meeting years ago in an English-speaking job.
Yeah.
Oh, I was terrified.
What happened?
Well, I had this idea bubbling up. I really thought it was relevant, but I just sat there silent the whole meeting.
You couldn't get the words out.
Couldn't get them out. It felt like my throat closed up. And by the time I'd sort of mentally rehearsed the perfect sentence,
The conversation had moved on.
Exactly. It was gone. So frustrating.
Oh, I bet. So what changed? How did you get past that?
It actually took someone else pointing it out. A while later, my manager, she said something like, your emails are full of really insightful ideas. Why don't you share those in the meetings? And that was just boom, like a light bulb moment. Totally. I suddenly realized that my desire to actually contribute, to be part of the discussion, it was becoming stronger than my fear.
That's powerful.
It really made me see how much I was the one holding myself back. My fear was the biggest barrier.
That's a fantastic story because it illustrates that internal tug of war so well. And look, once you've had that realization, like you did, then having the right tools can make a massive difference.
Yeah, the practical stuff.
Right. So building on that courage, let's give you some essential English phrases. Kind of a toolkit designed to just open the door for your ideas.
Okay, let's do it. What about just agreeing? Simple agreement.
Keep it simple. I agree with that point. Or I think that's a good idea. Clear, direct.
Nice. Okay, what if you want to add to what someone else said, kind of piggyback on their idea?
That's a great strategy. Try something like, can I add something quickly? Or maybe I'd like to build on that. Like shows you're listening and connecting.
Good ones. Okay, the tricky one. Disagreeing. Politely, of course.
Right. Politeness is key.
Yeah.
You could say, I see your point, but I have a different perspective.
Okay, that's respectful.
Or, can we consider another option? It frames it as a collaborative suggestion, not just a rejection.
I like that framing. What about acknowledging you're nervous? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Sometimes just naming it can take away its power. I might not explain this perfectly, but here's my thought.
Oh, I like that. It sets expectations.
Exactly. Or, let me try to say this clearly. It buys you a second, signals your intention, and still gets the idea out there.
These are great because they don't feel like you need to be a debate champion. They just sound human.
That's the goal. Polite, professional, but also authentic. They just help you open that door right, get your idea onto the table without this huge pressure for perfect delivery.
Yeah, definitely helpful.
And what's really cool is that doing this, using these phrases, these small acts, it's not just about feeling brave. There's real psychology behind it.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, our deep dive looked into work by people like Susan Cain, the author of Quiet.
Yeah, great book.
She talks a lot about how introverts often have incredibly thoughtful ideas, but hesitate to share them.
Sounds familiar.
Right. Her advice is very practical. Prepare short sentences beforehand, like we discussed.
The preparation mindset shift.
Exactly. And crucially, try to speak up early in the meeting.
Early? Why early?
Before you overthink it.
Yeah.
Before that internal editor gets too loud and talks you out of it, get in there quickly.
Nip the self-doubt in the bud. Makes sense.
And then there's the neuroscience angle, which is fascinating.
Okay.
The sources show that when you speak up, even just a brief comment, your brain releases dopamine.
Dopamine, like the reward chemical.
Exactly. Often called the confidence hormone in this context. It feels good, sure, but it does more than that.
What does it do?
That dopamine surge actually reinforces the neural pathways associated with that courageous behavior. It essentially tells your brain, hey, that worked. That was okay. We can do that again.
So it literally trains your brain to be more confident.
Precisely. Each small comment, each time you use one of those phrases, it's like a little workout for your confidence circuits. It makes it easier the next time.
Wow. Okay, that adds a whole new layer to just starting small.
It really does. It's brain chemistry working in your favor.
All right, so let's maybe recap the key takeaways from this deep dive.
Okay, so number one, you absolutely do not need perfect English. Focus on clear, kind communication. That's the goal.
Right. Clear enough, not perfect.
Exactly. Number 2, preparation helps. Just having 1 or 2 potential contributions ready can make a huge difference to your anxiety levels.
Your anchor.
Use those simple phrases we talked about to ease yourself into the conversation. And finally, keep reminding yourself, your perspective has value, your opinion matters, you're there for a reason.
Great summary. And the best way to actually put this into practice?
Start small, really small.
Great.
Think about that dopamine hit, that brain training.
Even just saying, yes, I agree.
That totally counts. It's a win. It's a micro-training session for your brain's confidence pathways. It builds momentum.
Okay, so here's the action step for you from today's deep dive. In your very next meeting, just commit. Commit to using one phrase, just one.
Could be, I agree. Could be, can I add something?
Anything. Say it,
Yeah.
and then just take a second afterwards. Notice how it actually feels. You might genuinely surprise yourself.
You really might. And thinking about that dopamine boost, that reinforcement of courage, it raises a bigger question, doesn't it?
Go on.
If these small acts of speaking up literally change your brain chemistry and build confidence in meetings, how else might embracing small acts of courage, like Susan Cain suggests, impact your daily life beyond meetings?
Like other interactions, personal growth.
Exactly. If you start small in meetings, where else could that ripple outwards? Definitely something to mull over.
A great thought to leave folks with. We have loved taking this deep dive with you today. Next time, we're digging into another really practical topic, writing better work emails. You know, emails that sound clear, smart, professional.
Looking forward to that one.
Us too. We'll see you for the next deep dive.